All right, today we're diving into a South Indian thriller that kicks off like every ghost story you've ever heard. You've got a remote bungalow, a vengeful spirit, a bunch of stranded students, but this story has an absolutely brilliant twist. And the real monster? Well, it's been hiding in plain sight the entire time.
So, it all starts out innocently enough, right? We're following a group of Ayurveda students on what's supposed to be just a normal research tour, heading deep into the lush, remote jungles of South India. You know, the perfect setup for a little adventure.
And then bam, the first classic horror trope hits you. They're out in the middle of nowhere, absolutely no cell signal, and of course, their bus breaks down. The driver, a guy named Raghu, says he can't fix it. They are completely and utterly isolated.
So, stranded, they get pointed towards the only shelter for miles. This super creepy old bungalow left over from the British era. It's their only option for the night, but let's be real, it looks way more like a trap. And a house like this is never just a house, is it? It always has a story.
And this right here is where the story really gets going. Everyone is immediately terrified of the ghost that supposedly haunts the place. But what if that fear is actually being used as a weapon? What if the whole supernatural threat is just one big distraction from an evil that is far, far more human?
I mean, the second they walk in the door, the caretaker, Velu, sets this incredibly chilling tone without warning. He's the one who lays out the bungalow's dark history, planting those first seeds of fear right from the get-go.
So how exactly did a simple college trip turn into such a nightmare? Let's break down the chain of events that led them straight into this trap.
You gotta notice how perfectly all these pieces fall into place. The students are on a trip, the bus driver says the bus breaks down in a total dead zone, and hey, what do you know? A helpful local just happens to know of a bungalow nearby. It all seems like a string of really, really bad luck. Or maybe it's something else entirely.
So once the students are trapped there for the night, the whole atmosphere just shifts into full-blown horror. The focus turns completely to this terrifying legend of the bungalow's ghost.
The caretaker, Velu, tells them all about Vani. She was this beautiful tea plantation worker, he says, who was murdered by a British colonel right there in the bungalow. Now her spirit is trapped and all she wants is revenge. It's a classic, tragic ghost story, and it's perfectly designed to prey on all their fears.
And you know, it's not just stories. Weird things actually start to happen. There are strange noises in the middle of the night, people's clothes vanish from their bags only to reappear outside, and some of the students start acting, well, weird. It's all the classic signs of a haunting. And then, Velu adds this terrifying new layer to the whole threat. He explains that Vani doesn't just make noise, she possesses people. She can literally use your friend's body to get what she wants. All of a sudden, nobody can trust anybody.
But this is where everything escalates from just spooky stories to a genuine crisis. The fear becomes terrifyingly real when the group realizes that 3 of their own have completely disappeared into the night.
And you have to look at how it happens, because it is so crucial. The girls see their missing clothes outside and decide to go grab them. But their friend, Veena, all of a sudden says she's too tired and too scared and insists on staying behind. She deliberately separates herself from the group right before they vanish.
And just like that, 3 students are gone. The situation has gone from a scary night in a haunted house to a potential kidnapping or worse. Total panic sets in and the police are called.
But the disappearance of 3 students kicks off a police investigation. And this is where the whole ghost story really starts to fall apart. As the police dig in, they start to unravel a plot that is so much more calculated. It is time to meet the real mastermind.
This is the question that just changes everything. What if every single spooky event, the stories, the noises, the missing clothes, what if none of it was supernatural at all? What if it was all just an elaborate stage play?
The truth, it turns out, is buried in a tragic past. Years ago, a mother and her young daughter were murdered by 3 very influential men. The whole crime was covered up and officially ruled as suicide. But there was another daughter, Rekha, who survived. And she grew up, changed her name to Veena, and enrolled in college, just waiting for her moment.
And here is her absolutely brilliant, meticulous plan. Step 1, she gets close to the enemy by befriending the children of the very men who murdered her family. Step 2, she isolates them. She bribes the bus driver to fake that breakdown in that exact remote area. The whole unplanned stop was planned from the start. The bungalow wasn't random shelter. It was a pre-selected stage. The whole hunting, the stories, the noises, it was all just misdirection. It created chaos and gave her the perfect cover to stage a kidnapping. And the final, genius move? By taking the children of powerful men, she guaranteed a massive police investigation that her enemies could not possibly cover up.
And that brings us to the final act. See, Rekha's perfectly crafted plan wasn't just about getting even. It was about using her enemies' own power against them to force a corrupt system to finally deliver justice.
And these are her targets. We're not talking about petty criminals here. We're talking a high-ranking police superintendent, a rich exporter, and a successful builder. These are men who thought their money and their influence made them completely untouchable.
And this is the genius of her plan. By kidnapping their own children, she forces these powerful men directly into the public spotlight. The media pressure gets so intense that it allows an honest cop from the original investigation to reopen the cold case, something he never could have done before. And in the end, Rekha reveals that her friends, the missing students, are completely safe. She was never going to hurt them. They were just pawns in her game of checkmate. With the bad guys exposed and the evidence finally out in the open, her mission is complete.
And these are her final words. She knows she broke the law. She's ready to face whatever punishment comes her way. But for her, it was all worth it to get a justice that the system had completely denied her family for years.
So the whole story leaves us with this really heavy question. Rekha basically became a criminal to expose even bigger criminals, and it forces you to ask, when the system fails people that badly, what lines are okay to cross to find justice? And in the end, who really pays the price?